Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina wa Maulana Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa barik wa sallam. Dear friends, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. In the morning of 7th October, yesterday, a Palestinian military group, Hamas, launched an attack onto Israel. Initially, more than 2,000 short-range missiles were fired on Israel, and hundreds of Israeli troops were also arrested meanwhile. In return, Israel retaliated and also fired missiles onto Gaza, that is the Muslim population city of Palestine. In these attacks, more than 300 civilians were died, and approximately 1,500 Palestinian civilians were also injured too. Dear brothers and sisters, these are the facts and stats. Now, let's come on to the point whether Hamas should have done so or not. Look, when Hamas attacked on Israel, many of the Israeli civilians were also affected in it. Someone may argue that Israel has already so many times attacked Muslim civilians into Palestine. So, all of these latest activities of Hamas were in fact a revenge. But wait. Being Muslims, we must always remember that we are bound to the teachings of Qur'an and Sunnah prior to our own wishes and desires. Here, I'd like to quote a reference of the verse of Holy Qur'an. This is chapter number 6, Al-In'am, and it's verse number 164, in which Allah Almighty says, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. وَلَا تَقْسِبُوا كُلُّ نَفْسٍ إِلَّا عَلَيْهَا وَلَا تَزِرُ وَازِرَةٌ وِزْرَ ثُمَّ إِلَى رَبِّكُمْ مَرْجِعُكُمْ فَيُنَبِّئُكُمْ بِمَا كُنْتُمْ فِيهِ تَخْتَلِفُونَ Sadaqallahu Mawlana al-Azim. In this ayah karima, Allah Rabbul Izzat says, whoever commits a sin or a crime will be held accountable himself, and no one else would share the burden of a crime done by the others. Then you will have to appear before your Lord, where you will be clarified all the matters upon which you disagree with each other. Explaining tafsir of this ayah karima, Imam Abu Yusuf in his book Al-Khiraj, page number 78, quotes a narration of beloved Prophet Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam. Huzur alayhi salatu wasalam says, La yu'khazu minhum rajulun bizulmin akhar. Don't take a revenge from a person for a crime which was done by the other person of his nation. On another occasion, Allah Almighty points out this matter more specifically, and here the chapter number 5, Surah AlMAA, and its verse number 8, Allah Almighty says, Ya ayyuhallazina amanu kunu qawwamina lillah shuhada'a bil qist wa la yajrimannakum shananu qawmin ala alla ta'dilu i'dilu wa huwa aqrabu lit-taqwa wattaqullah innallaha khabirun bima ta'malun. In this ayah karima, Allah Rabbul Izzat says, O believers, be firm on your witnesses for the sake of Allah, and you must not do injustice with the nation in your anger against their wrongdoings to you. Be just in all the circumstances, because this justice will lead you towards taqwa, that is the piety. And further, Allah Rabbul Izzat says, be pious before Allah, because Allah knows every act you do. A well-renowned Mufassir, Imam Qurtubi, in his book Al-Jami' li Ahkam al-Qur'an, its volume number 6 and the page number 45, he highlights in fact the words mentioned in this ayah karima, وَلَا يَجْرِمَنَّكُمْ شَنَانُ قَوْمٍ. In his tafsir, Imam Qurtubi says, in the words of وَلَا يَجْرِمَنَّكُمْ شَنَانَ قَوْمٍ, Allah Rabbul Izzat particularly commands Muslims to be careful, just and equitable with the dealings of non-Muslims, despite of their wrongdoings and cruel doings against the Muslims. Now at the end, I'd like to quote Imam Abu Hanifa. There is an extraordinary quote of Imam Azam Abu Hanifa in a well-renowned book of Fiqh Hanafi, Ad-Durrul Mukhtar. It is its volume number 2 and page number 223. He says, وَيَدْمَنُ الْمُسْلِمُ قِيمَةَ خَمْرِهِ وَخِنْزِيرِهِ إِذَا أَتْلَفَهُ He says that Muslims have to pay back even for wine and the pork when they have forcefully taken back from the non-Muslims. From here, we can imagine the sensitivity and gravity of our terms with the non-Muslims. When Israel retaliated and fired missiles on the civilians of Palestine, hundreds of innocent Muslim population were also affected in it, just for no reason. So we should consider the returning consequences as well, and be careful about the changing developments throughout the world, because there is already a war between Russia and Ukraine, and the hard terms between Pakistan and Hindustan. So lest these factors should lead the whole world towards World War III. May Allah Almighty guide us the right way and protect all the human beings from the devastation of extremism and radicalism. Ameen. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.